Hello listeners and viewers, welcome to Kaduna State Ministry of Education Radio and TV e-learning program designed for our SS3 and other students staying at home due to the coronavirus pandemic. The present administration under the able leadership of His Excellency, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, is positioned as always to ensure that under his leadership, our students are not left behind in all areas of human endeavors, especially education. Kaduna State is the center of learning. Therefore, we want to ensure that our students excel in their forthcoming examinations and beyond. Students and other learners at home are given this opportunity in order to continue learning, as education is a continuous process. Different subjects will be taught in this program to assist students to perform excellently in the forthcoming Senior School Certificate examination being conducted by NECO and WAEC as soon as schools reopen. Teachers making presentations will always provide their names and phone numbers during each presentation, and they can be contacted for questions, further explanations, and/or clarifications. The following numbers and contacts can also be reached for expression of any concern or observation: 090-865-00545 or 080-383-62072. Our website is www.education.kdsg.gov.ng. Our email education@kdsg.gov.ng or education.kdsg@gmail.com. Our YouTube channel, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Our Twitter handle @Kaduna_MOE. Or our Facebook page, Ministry of Education, Kaduna State. Stay safe, stay at home, and learn well. Thank you, happy listening, and happy viewing.
Hello, learners. Welcome to another segment of e-learning. I am Mrs. Chinyo, and I will be taking government. Our topic today, which is pressure groups, is a conclusion of the lesson we presented last. The last lesson was part 1, and this lesson is the concluding part. I advise you sit and pay proper attention. Before we start today's lesson, in the previous lesson, we defined the concept of pressure groups as an organized members of people belonging to the same profession who come together in order to protect their interests or to ask for some favor. Thereafter, we cited examples of pressure groups as associational, institutional, academics, religious, and anomic pressure groups, among others. After which, we also looked at the features of pressure groups. Today, we'll continue from there. Today's lesson will be discussed under the following headings, starting with mode of operation, functions. Last but not the least, we shall look at differences between pressure groups, and political parties. Now, mode of operation. What do we mean by mode? Wherever you see or hear the word mode, M-O-D-E, it refers to ways or how something can be done. In this lesson, I said or I defined mode of operation as the ways or methods that pressure groups carry out their activities. What are these ways? Number one, I said pressure groups carry out their activities through lobbying. What do I mean by lobbying? In this context, lobbying is an act of selling one's idea or ideas to another person with the aim of convincing that person to believe or buy the idea. If I have a school of thoughts, I can come to you, try to convince you to see it my way and agree with my points of view. When I do that, it is called lobbying. Number two, pressure groups can carry out their activities through aggressive propaganda. Now, when I say aggressive in this context, I mean intensive, serious. That is what I mean by the word aggressive. And propaganda means to enlighten, to make the people know what we are talking about. Now, this aggressive propaganda is carried out through the mass media. The mass media include both the print and electronic mass media. Like those of you watching me through the television, or those of you listening through the radio, or if I write and post on the internet or write on papers, you can read and know what is happening. Now, these are mass media. Now, when pressure group publish their activities or enlighten the public through the mass media, it can draw the attention of the mass media towards what they believe in. If teachers, for example, are aggrieved and they want people to know what is happening, they can go through the mass media. By so doing, your parents and others will know what the teachers are talking or asking about. Number three, pressure groups sometimes resort to demonstrations, strikes, boycotts in order to drive home their points. Demonstrations is to organize mass action, protesting what you are talking about or what you want government or employers to do. Strike, on the other hand, is when you put down your tools and say you will not work except your demands are met. Boycotts. Boycotts is to refuse to attend. For instance, pressure groups, maybe NUT has an issue with government, and government invites NUT leaders to come and sit down. NUT will refuse to go for that meeting. Now that refusal is what we call boycotts. Point number 4, pressure groups can financially support a candidate or political party to organize a campaign for them, as long as they believe that the candidate or that political party believes in what they are fighting for. We are looking at ways or methods that pressure groups carry out their activities. Point number 5, pressure groups sometimes can cause civil disobedience. That is, through disregarding lawful orders. However, without using violence and resistance to lawful arrest. Let me explain these points. This point is saying, when pressure group try to drive home their points, they can go against an order. For instance, government says no society, no group of people is or are allowed to protest. No rallies in town. Pressure groups can disobey that order. They can organize rallies. They can organize protests. However, they will not use violence. They will not waylay people. They will not destroy properties, but they will organize that rally. You see them carrying placards on the streets. And when they are accosted, that is, if the police for any reason decides that because you have disobeyed the rules that say there are no protests, we shall arrest your ring leaders. Now the ring leaders will not resist the arrest. As soon as the police come, they will just hand over their hands for handcuff and they will be carried away. They will not resist. These are some of the methods. Number 6, dialogue. What do we mean by dialogue? Now, dialogue simply means going into or entering into formal or official negotiation, discussion, talks between the aggrieved person and the person who should address the grievances. If NUT, for example, has a challenge or problem with government, now NUT is the aggrieved person, while government is the one supposed to do what? Address the problem. So there will be a formal discussion between NUT officials and government officials with the aim of solving the problem at hand. Point number 7, consultation. Now, consultation is a situation whereby pressure groups actually consult, that is, they meet their employers to talk to them about the issue at hand or the point of disagreement. Similarly, employers can also call their employees in order to discuss the issue of the issue on ground, the issue they have disagreements over, even before policies are made and implemented. They will call them. This is what we want to do. Last time we were talking about salary increment. Now we want to work on that salary increment. But let us talk. How are we going to do it? Is it going to be in one phase, or can we do it installmentally, step by step? They will now consult each other and reach an agreement before it is implemented. Now, point number 8, pressure groups can sometimes use or resort to violent demonstrations in order to drive home their demands or their points. Now, in recent history, that is the past few weeks, if you are current learners, if you've been listening to your televisions and radios, you would have heard that there was a serious demonstration in the state of Minneapolis, where one George Floyd was killed by a policeman, which triggered serious demonstration, violence. You had that some shops were looted, some places were even set ablaze, isn't it? Now that is an example of one method that pressure groups can use in order to drive home their points. This demonstration in the U.S. actually yielded positive result because it brought about reforms in the way the police deal with the civil population. Now, quickly, let us look at some of the functions performed by pressure groups. What do they do? Number 1, pressure groups articulate various interests of their groups and bring them together for effective pressure on governments. Let me give you an example. The Nigerian Labour Congress is an umbrella of many other associations of labor in Nigeria. Now, NLC will collect the demands of NUT, TCN, and the rest, and articulate. When they bring all the various demands together, they will be able to present it in such a way that it will be more effective and bear more or stronger pressure on governments, instead of allowing the individual pressure groups to do it themselves, which may not carry heavy weights. Number 2, pressure groups serve as checks. In other words, in a layman language, we say they serve as watchdogs over the policies of government as it affects them and the society at large. They know what government is doing. They know what they want to be done. So by mounting pressure on government, it helps government to formulate policies that will benefit them personally and then the society at large. Number 3, it actually helps governments to measure how its policies are accepted. When pressure groups do not complain, government knows that the policies are what? Accepted. But when they do complain, government knows that its policies are not accepted and they will try to redress it. Number 4, pressure groups serve to speak up and fight for its members who, if left alone, cannot stand alone for fear of reprisal. I, as an individual teacher, if I am aggrieved in any way with my employer, it will be more risky for me as an individual to stand up and complain to my employer. But if my complaint is channeled through my association, it will carry more weight. And I, as a person, will not be what? Victimized. And I will not be afraid to view out my point because I am covered by the umbrella of my organization. Point number 5 is pressure groups help to educate citizens about government policies in relation to its workforce. Through the activities of pressure groups, you find out that citizens of the country are more informed about how government treats its employees. When we come out on the street now and say, hey, we are underpaid, we only earn this amount of money, citizens will be able to know, oh, so government pays its workforce very well, or they pay them poorly, isn't it? So it helps to educate the citizens. Last but not the least, I want you to listen to this point very well, which is differences between pressure groups and political parties. Do not get confused. Political parties and pressure groups are different. For example, number 1, when you look at the population size, political parties are larger in size than pressure groups. Number 2, political parties seek to control governments, but pressure groups only want to influence government's decision in order to favor them and, of course, members of the society. They don't want to control government, but they want to influence decision to favor them. Number 3, pressure groups seek to satisfy the interests of their members, while political parties want to satisfy the interests of the society in general. Number 4, which is the last point, in terms of membership, political parties are open to people from different walks of life. You can be a medical doctor, a teacher, a farmer, a trader. You can belong to a political party. But that is not the case with pressure groups. Membership, point number 5. Membership of pressure groups are open to people of common interest or profession. For instance, you cannot join Nigerian Union of Teachers if you are not a teacher. You cannot join Nigerian Medical Association if you are not a medical personnel. Neither can you join Nigerian Union of Journalists if you are not a journalist. But what of political parties? Any of these can join a political party. Now, this brings us to the end of today's lesson and the topic on pressure groups. Before I go or I step down, I want to keep you busy with the following 3 assignments. Number 1, discuss 4 modes of operation open to pressure groups. I take that again. Discuss 4 modes of operation open to pressure groups. Number 2, state 4 functions of pressure groups. State 4 functions of pressure groups. Number 3, highlight 3 areas of differences. 3 areas of differences between pressure groups and political parties. Send your assignments to this number 0810-474-2553. The number again, 0810-474-2553. I remain Mrs. Chinyo. Thank you. See you in the next lesson.